What is up, everyone, and welcome back to the Hotfixes and Hot Takes podcast, your weekly gaming news podcast here. And this week on episode 8, we have a whole bunch to discuss with you today. Modern Warfare 4 was finally revealed.
The Summer Game Showcases have hit, so we're going to take you through Sony's State of Play, Summer Game Fest, and Xbox's Showcase.
And so much more for you guys here on the podcast. As always, my name is AJ.
And I'm Ferg.
And we love to start off these episodes by kind of going through all of the weekly updates or content, seasonal updates that are out for all of our favorite games and games that we cover here on the podcast. So we're going to start off real briefly with Forza Horizon 6. As we stated last episode, every week you get a new kind of, set of challenges, stuff like this. And for the last two episode or the last 2 weeks, we haven't been able to cover here. So we have back in autumn, the two reward cards were the 1997 Nissan Skyline GTR V-Spec, a 1991 Honda CRX SIR, and then this week in the winter playlist, there's the 2019 Subaru STI S209 and the 2016 Toyota Land Cruiser Arctic trucks. There's the AT37. So those are the 4 cars that you could get over the past couple of weeks. I know myself, I've been able to get everyone. Ferg, have you been able to get everyone in each season?
No, I've been kind of slacking on the seasons. Just got to Legends Island, so starting to transition over into the seasonal activities. A little bit behind, but we're getting there.
Hell yeah. All right, so yeah, not too much other stuff coming to Forza. Again, they're just kind of going through their weekly progressions there. But then a big one here, and we can start kind of getting right into it, is Call of Duty Black Ops 7 released Season 4 now to the game. So I'm actually going to head on over to the roadmap here, and we can kind of just go through a high-level overview of all this stuff, because it does look like a pretty jam-packed season here for everything coming with Season 4. So to start off, it looks like we're getting a few 6v6 multiplayer maps, including Liminal, Primetime, Zenith, and Vertigo. There's also Launch coming, one of our favorite maps from Call of Duty Black Ops, will be coming in season as kind of a remaster, stuff like that. Ferg, do you want to take us through all the fun stuff coming to zombies? Oh, Ferg, you're muted?
I am muted. I'm muted. Sorry about that. So they announced a new map coming sometime later in Season 4. Kawajoa? I still need to look at the official trailer. Yeah, thank you. Gonna be coming with a new survival map for on the Nuketown map called Nukes, new Gobble Gun, some new relics for some of that end game, harder grinders for zombies there. One mode that we actually checked out too already, Rogue Run, so adding a little bit of a roguelite mode to zombies. I think from what I've seen, reception has been pretty good. It seems like some people are really enjoying that. And then directed mode to Totenreich there. Now that map has kind of hit the full cycle and people have fully fleshed out that Easter egg.
Awesome. Yeah. And one thing that I meant to mention when we were talking about like maps and modes and everything, it was actually something that you and I tried out on Friday night. And that is Black Ops Classic Mode, which has the internet kind of just in a frenzy. A bunch of people are super excited. Stripped back movement. You can't sprint infinitely. You don't have your jump, your slide. Well, you can jump, but you can't wall jump. You can't slide. The classes are I think, changed up. I think there's some other changes as well, made to more mimic classic like Black Ops 2 type gameplay, including only playing on like remastered maps. I know I want to get your thoughts on this as well. My thoughts, to be honest, it didn't feel that crazy different. It felt good. It wasn't too bad. Obviously, right now, the only people that are playing are sweat, so every lobby was a little bit rough, but that's to be expected. But apart from that, like, it didn't change enough for me to really notice that much, but I think it overall was a very good addition to have nonetheless.
Yeah, I liked it. I mean, It's a stripped down version. I think it was a much more chill few matches that we got into, albeit, we were still kind of getting stomped on, but, um, you know, the gunfights that I were getting into, people were just out aiming me rather than out maneuvering and side canceling me, which felt a little bit better. It was cool to check out, but, I think for me, Black Ops 7 is kind of hitting the end of the life cycle. It's not something that I'm investing a lot of time in anymore. So it was a cool addition, but I think this one came a little bit too late in the seasons.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would have been cool to have it at the beginning, but I think there wouldn't have been enough maps. I think now with all the content updates, there's been enough classic maps that they could do it with if they were really tied to that idea of having it only on the old maps. So, but yeah, that's super cool. If you enjoy that type of thing, definitely check it out. Obviously, there's a bunch of stuff coming to Warzone, including Fortune's Keep is coming back with kind of like a remaster, refresh. And a seasonal variant of Rebirth Island. Neither of us play Warzone anymore, so that's about as deep as we're going to cover Warzone here on the channel. And then, yeah, do you want to take us through all the new weapons that are coming with this season?
Sure thing, sure thing. So, looks like they're rocking a new AR, the VX Compact, a new special weapon, the Grimhawk. The AN94 is coming back, which is pretty cool. That's going to come in season, so I may jump on for that one. I love the AN94 in previous COD, so it's pretty cool that one's coming back. Adding an SMG, the CBRS-3, probably the Cerberus. Naming there, a marksman rifle, KRS 7.62, and the Executioner's Duet melee weapon. So it kind of looks like two Tomahawk-esque melee weapons. Again, that one's coming in season as well.
Yeah, and then, of course, obviously, to kind of round this out, last thing we want to cover is just, obviously, a bunch of new attachments that fundamentally kind of change the weapons. It looks like a Argus lever for the M10 Breacher, so making it a lever action shotgun. So I know that's right down your alley, Ferg. You always love the lever action weapons in games. And then the other ones, they just look, the LTI Stenarian break. No idea what that is. And then a couple other attachments that are coming in season as well. And as always, these are usually attachments that completely change the weapon, turn them into something new. So that's a high level overview of everything coming with season 4. Obviously, the biggest thing, at least for us two, is the brand new Zombies map. They also confirmed that there is still 2 more seasons coming out. And that there is one more final zombie map coming out to kind of end the Black Ops 6 and Black Ops 7 story, and that will be coming mid-season for Season 5. So they already kind of told us when that would be coming. Obviously, here on the podcast, we will kind of break that down whenever that comes out here, probably in 2 or 3 months, with Season 5 here towards the end of the summer. So yeah, with that,
don't forget the store bundles, dude.
Yeah, I mean, let us know in the comments section if you want us to go into minute detail for every single overpriced $30 COD skin bundle, and by all means, I will. It'll drive me nuts, but if that's what the people want,
I won't.
Ferg won't, but I will. I got you guys. Don't worry. But yeah, that about rounds out for Season 4. We already hopped in, tried it out. Again, both of us are kind of coming to the end of the COD life cycle. Now we're starting to kind of look forward to what's next. So can't say I will be playing that much, but there is a lot of content that they're bringing. So with that out of the way, Ferg, do you want to wrap us up here with what's coming to MLB The Show?
Sure thing, sure thing. On Friday, as of recording, this is Sunday the 7th, so June 5th, the 4th inning program hit. The 2 big boss players at the end of the 4th inning XP path are Rafael Devers and Roger Clemens. Like we've been talking the past couple weeks, those 95 red diamond and ups are finally kind of flooding the game. So both of those players are, I believe, a 97 overall, either 96 or 97 overall.
Oh, wow.
And then the big additional program there was rounding out the May Lightning, or the May Cornerstone set there with the Lightning players, getting all of the May players to collect into that Lightning player. So Jacob Mizorowski was that Lightning player, and then alternatively, they have a flashback Lightning player as well that they do every month, and it is Fernando Tatis Jr. So another set of red diamonds there. Starting to really approach end game. I haven't been playing it as much, feeling a little burned out on the show grind. So probably won't hop in too much this inning. There's just not a lot of like high overall players that I really like that they're dropping yet. So definitely kind of an off season, if you will, for me for the show right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I've only put in a little bit of time. Honestly, playing with you, playing some co-op matches once or twice a week is probably as far as I've really gotten lately. As there's just so many games that come out, and in a world where every single thing is a live service game, as you know, I mean, we have an entire section of our podcast dedicated to these weekly updates, weekly in all capital letters there. It's just too much to keep up with. So definitely some cool stuff coming there if you're still grinding away at MLB. But if not, we understand. There's just so many more things to sink your teeth into nowadays. So, but yeah, that about wraps it up for all the weekly content. As always, if there's a game that you would like to see us cover for weekly or seasonal content, let us know in the comment section below. We will make sure it makes it into this section of the podcast. So next up along the same vein is our release radar, where we talk about all the games that have released or are very soon about to release. Coming up, at least games that we kind of care about or are big enough that we think, a lot of people are kind of keeping tabs on. So the first one, I spelled it wrong in the script here. It is not Gatekeeper. It is Fate Keeper. A little typo on my hand. But this was a game that I was actually looking forward to for quite a while. It was on my radar. Just because I've seen it in a lot of like countdowns for like Skyrim-esque games. That type of genre that like Game Ranks does videos, kind of calling out games like this that are coming out. So when I finally saw that it entered early access on June 2nd, earlier this week, I immediately got it. However, when I got there, I saw the price tag was $8, and I immediately kind of like, oh, like it just set off red alarms in my head. Because anytime a game releases, even like early access, it's still usually like $20-$30, for an early access game, if not almost the full price. And this was $8. And I gotta say, I don't know if you've watched any gameplay of it or played it yourself or anything. It is worth probably $8.
Oh boy.
Yeah. It truly has like a really good like skeleton, you know what I mean? Like it could be a really good game, but this is the epitome of early access. This is not basically a full game, but we released it 6 months early and called it early access to get some, funds in the door earlier. This is like, hey, we finally have a build where it's kind of stable. There's about 2 hours of gameplay. Let's just please, dear God, get it out the door and see if anyone can buy this.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Money issues.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small team. There's only 13 people, 13 devs. It is published by THQ Nordic, so it has that, little bit of muscle behind it, but it's a 13-person dev studio. Really good potential, really kinetic, like melee and magic type gameplay, kind of Skyrim-esque. A little bit of Dark Souls-y in some parts. It is pretty punishing, but there's just... If you guys are looking forward to this, if you were thinking about getting this, my recommendation is to wait possibly in upwards of a year, unless you want to buy in now and just not download it. In case it goes up to $30, $40, $50, $60 later on, you could buy in now for $8, kind of return on investment, kind of actually like investing in something, right? And then just wait for it to get good. But this needs several patches, several content updates, a lot of stuff to be a really fully fledged game, to be honest.
It's kind of crazy the differences in early access games you see nowadays. Because I think Windrose, which we covered, I want to say 2 or 3 episodes ago, that's out in early access right now, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and that seems like a fully fledged out game at this point.
Oh yeah.
Anything that they would add is just kind of a bonus. So Yeah, we haven't talked since you purchased that, so I've been meaning to ask you about it, but I guess it's maybe worth $8, maybe.
Yeah, it's short. There's like less than 2 hours of gameplay there. It's kind of janky still. It doesn't feel very fleshed out. There's a lot of things that I think could be done better. So in addition to obviously needing more than just 2 hours of gameplay, um, it also needs several patches to rework some stuff that fundamentally. But there, like I said, there's really good potential there, and I'm kind of glad that I bought in this early because I could see it maybe this time next year coming back to it and having a game that is truly worth 50, 60, $70 and possibly provides a couple dozen hours worth of fun gameplay. But as of right now, if you're listening out there, kind of a before you buy thing, wait. Please wait. Unless you don't really care and you're just going to, like I said, buy in like me, maybe kill 2 hours here and there, and then come back to it over the next coming months every time an update comes out. That's perfectly fine. Otherwise, don't waste your money on it just yet. And then next up, another RPG like game. This time, Gothic, a remake, which was a remake of the original Gothic. Ferg, have you ever played that series at all? I know I haven't.
No, no, I haven't even heard about the original series until the remake was announced. And I feel it's like this one kind of came in pretty quick of like, hey, we're remaking this and it's coming out
Mm-hmm.
in a couple months. I think general or early reception has been decent. Nothing super crazy. I've seen some eights, 7 to 8s out of 10, and I've seen some 5s out of 10 for some early reviews for this one. So
Yeah, and one of the biggest things I heard is it shows its age. Like it's a remake, not just a remaster. So it is a remake, but there's still some things that feel very jank and kind of old. Like GameRank's called it Euro jank, of just like those kind of European games that have some of that like little oddities to them that you see from some European devs. And it does feel old. Obviously, so much has been brought up to the present, which is great. But I think in order for them to keep the DNA, which is a good decision, there's still some old bones there that maybe you love, might be your cup of tea, but for some gamers, it might not be great because of that. So I have it wishlisted on Steam. If it goes on sale, I definitely plan on checking it out, but probably won't buy it full price.
yeah, same here.
All right, so that about wraps it up for all of the games coming out, basically since last episode and coming up soon. So now we move into the meat of the episode, all of the gaming headlines. Now, we talked in the intro about all of the Summer Games Fest and all of that kind of stuff. Basically, this generation's version of E3 is this week. As always, we talked about it last episode or the episode before, missing those E3 moments, the staying home, since we didn't have school, getting to watch every single press conference, every single minute of every, conference of E3. But this year is a little different. It's a little more staggered, but it is kind of the same thing. So we will cover that in a bit. However, before that entire week was able to come around, we got a massive announcement out of nowhere, and that is Modern Warfare 4. This year's Call of Duty game was finally announced. So we're just going to run through some of the high-level overview of this game. We could probably spend an entire episode talking about every single little detail and gameplay trailer they've put out. I will preface this all by saying they have been unusually transparent and verbose about everything, which is good, but also means there's like 2 hours worth of content here. We're just going to skim the surface, give you the big meaty points. So the first one I wanted to kind of go through. Some of these are some tweets that are coming out from Charlie Intel over on Twitter. If you want to know some great gaming news, one of the best accounts to follow for Call of Duty news. They've been doing it since I think Modern Warfare 3 back in the day. One of the first ones that is, and this is a big one. Ferg, I know you and I were really mad about this back in the day. Red dots will be there on minimap. No stop.
I'll help you out with these bullet points here.
So that's huge. We also have map voting, updated movement. So there is like a new mantle system. ledge hang, slide canceling, stuff like that. So it definitely is scaled back a little bit from Black Ops 7, no Omni movement, but it seems like they really built out the Modern Warfare style of movement and made it much more player friendly. The movement gods, I'm sure, are happy about that. Theater mode is back, which is awesome. We haven't seen that at launch in an Infinity Ward game in forever. And then we also have No Bloom, which I wanted to get your thoughts on that. Something tells me he likes it. Well, what are your thoughts on this? No Bloom, pretty much where you aim is where you shoot.
Yeah, I've always hated Bloom in any game, especially a little bit more of the arcadey tactical shooters like COD. So it was really cool to see that. It's hard to feel like you can play competitively if there is any random aspect in the game that you're playing. I think we talk about it a little bit with MLB The Show, getting a perfect swing, and it's an out. That feels a little RNG based. Feels like you can't compete competitively. So I'm really looking forward to this. I think that's a really good change, especially looking at things like ranked modes within 6v6 and then ranked in Warzone as well.
Yeah, I think it's huge because, like you said, how many gunfights have you lost? And you're like, how did I not hit him? Are you serious? Because of Bloom, well, sometimes in the netcode that's terrible, but a lot of the times it's because of Bloom. Like it just throws that RNG aspect in there. I don't think there's any place for it. If I'm aiming where I am, you can include stuff like recoil and bullet drop and stuff that would actually throw off your shot in real life. But make it a skill thing to get over those and learn the recoil curve and learn bullet drop and take any RNG and randomness out of it.
Bloom is not an aspect of a shooter game that I want in because it's realism. I don't think it should be in any shooting video games. But
yeah, absolutely. So that was a huge one. On launch, there's 12 6v6 maps plus some gunfight maps and then like big war type maps. 12 is kind of low. We've been getting 16, but I know they're making gunfight maps and then this like big war type mode that they try to do every year and then forget about it after a month. So that's a little bit low, but somebody said we're going to be getting a bunch of remasters as well at some point. Who knows? I kind of hope that's the case if there's only going to be 12. So not a ridiculously low amount, but also nothing crazy. And then Classic Prestige is back, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. I'm super happy to have it back. There's also like a caveat for folks that don't want a Prestige, and again, we'll hit on that in a little bit here. But yeah, that's super big. What Prestige did you get to in Black Ops 7, Ferg?
I want to say 5 or 6. Right around the time I started, moving on to other games is when I stopped with the Prestige grind. I think I caught up a couple times because I wanted to finish the Zombies Mastery camo, and I didn't want to reset any of the weapons that I was working my way through, or any of the ammo mods. So there were definitely some hours grinded where I was at max level and just not prestiging to try to get that camo grind in. But yeah, never hit 10.
Damn. Yeah, I did hit 10, but I haven't hit max prestige yet. I think I'm like 10th prestige level, like 15 or 16. So I didn't get much far past. I got the mastery camo, and that obviously pushes you, through so many prestiges, and then I just kind of fell off. But yeah, so that's coming back. Classic prestige is coming back. Classic perk system is coming back. And then, and this is one of my favorite things. So we talked about this while we were playing yesterday, or the other day. Operator and streaks are per loadout now, which I think is, yes, exactly. Thank you. That is what I think is really shapes out what a what a class can be, right? Because in the past, it was weird to have so many things tailored, like your weapon, your perks, whatever, and then everything else was just like a end all be all across your entire account. So it'll be cool to have maybe like a smaller, stealthier skin for like a silenced SMG class with like ninja on or something, which is also returning, by the way. And then maybe like a big armored up guy for like your LMG core. Just that little bit of role playing and immersion that I think is really cool. And then kill streaks obviously as well. If you have a class that is really your tryhard class, you could put the bigger streaks on that.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The operator thing is cool, but I think the kind of the bigger thing for me is the streaks per loadout. If you're running a run and gun play style and class, I feel like I would throw on a UAV, counter UAV, kind of some of those lower streaks, knowing that I'm going to be in on the objectives all the time and probably dying a lot. Where switching that to an AR or a sniper, kind of building in those bigger streaks. Playing a little bit sneakier, trying to get those kill streaks running. So I think that's really cool. That's a great change. So I'm excited for that one.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's also, and I don't know if you've seen this yet. I've heard rumblings and like they kind of explain, how it works. But there is a new mode that like swaps out different maps. It's like a gunfight, but it swaps out every single round or something like that with what they call slabs, like these rectangular slabs, including a lot of remasters like Crash, Kill House, Shoot House, stuff like that. With over 500 possible combos, it said. So I don't know if that means like the maps themselves are like kind of placed so you could run from Crash to Kill House to. I'm not really sure, but it's something I'd really like to see in practice.
Yeah, this one's really interesting. I think it could add to that. There's only 12 6v6 maps. If this kill block map or mode is thrown into that pool of 6v6 maps, I think it could, throw that quote unquote map count through the roof, given that there are 3 interchangeable slabs. That's what they're calling it. I'm really interested to see how this one's going to play out. I think it could be really cool. If you have like you mentioned, Crash from COD 4 mixing with, I don't know, Nuketown mixing with, having these maps from different games and different studios coming together, and just seeing how wonky it can get. I think that's a cool idea, and it could be a like, okay, this is the next Call of Duty because of this big addition. We've talked about it the past couple podcasts how we were hoping for the new Call of Duty this year to be kind of that big leap where we saw in Modern Warfare 2019. I don't think from what they've shown I'm seeing that graphically, but I think something like Kill Block could add a pretty big new spin into it. To the fact that, like, given the possibilities they're saying, you could play Kill Block over and over and over again and not have the same map for 30 straight hours of gameplay on it. So interested in this one for sure.
Yeah, and we'll obviously give a little more information on it as we get it. I assume like they're gonna have a COD Next at some point, and they'll probably show that and stuff like that. And then kind of to add on to that, they've obviously talked a lot about the campaign, and I know a lot of people don't play Call of Duty for the campaign much anymore. For me, it's always a tone setter. So even if I play the campaign once on a rainy, Saturday morning or a rainy Saturday, and Sunday and just bang it out, it to me still like sets the tone of the game, maybe establishes characters that I care about later in, my multiplayer skins, different things like that. So it's never like been a huge deal to me as it was back in the day with the really good COD campaigns of like Modern Warfare 2 and stuff. But for me, it at least sets the tone and lets you know what it's going to be like and has the chance to do some really cool things. So this one, there's going to be 3 acts, which most games do a 3-act structure. Most movies do a 3-act structure. The core setting is in Korea. Story setup is that North Korea kind of attacks the South, causing a whole bunch of chaos. But then you also go to different locations like Mumbai, New York, Paris, Russia. There's kind of a world war that's breaking out a little bit there. And then obviously Price, Valeria, Shadow Company, all these from the last couple of games are making a return. We saw the little bit, it's not included in this screenshot that we're kind of looking off of, but they did the. I want to get your thoughts. I was talking with our friend James at the poll yesterday, and we went on at length about this. But there is a very Spartan Locke versus Master Chief scene between John Price and Ghost in the main trailer, and I'm really kind of worried how they handle this because of course they show it as like, oh, the old friends now, they're rivals, they're enemies, and Ghost is, you know, saying that, oh, Price, you broke the rules, I'm gonna kill you now. Like it feels very Halo 5 Guardians. Am I alone in that, Ferg?
Yeah, I think, you know, I've definitely gotten away from campaigns and really caring about it. You know, I've more so seen campaigns as like diminishing returns, given the quality of the campaigns of the last few games. Just wishing that they put that dev time into other areas of the game. Um, Having the characters come back every single Call of Duty each year, I think they needed to switch it up and do something to like raise some eyebrows of like, oh, what are they doing in the campaign, and get a little bit more interest. I'm not surprised by it. I think it's a cool twist, but um, I agree with you that they have to do it correctly,
Yeah.
or it's going to be super cheesy or super lame if it's just like a bait and switch of, you know, oh, they look at each other and say these lines and then they turn to somebody else and fight together, and it's like, yeah, oh, they were never fighting to begin with, type of deal. So we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, because I mean, I guess it all depends on how they execute it and how they market it, right? Because Halo 5 Guardians like went full on. Like, I don't know if you remember, because it's been about 10 or 11 years now. All of the marketing was like this really like gritty, like, oh my god, like Spartan Locke versus Master Chief. This is like an end, you know, what happens if Chief dies, and what if he was the bad guy all along? And then it was reduced to like 1 2 minute cutscene where they like punch each other, and then Chief like jumps through a portal, and then suddenly they're like kind of on the same team. Like, it was just so inconsequential. And you could tell that somebody just told the marketing department like, hey, these two guys are gonna fight, and then the marketing department just ran with it, and the whole time the devs were like, oh no, how do we tell them it's only just one mission, oh god. And I, you know, so I wonder if this will be the case, right? Like you said, are they going to actually fight? Is this going to be a core thing? Even if they work it out in the end, which I assume they will, right? That's kind of how COD goes. That's fine as long as it follows like a normal path. You know, I don't want the same 2 minute fight and then Deus Ex Machina, Machina comes in and suddenly they're best friends again and we don't hear or think about it ever again. So yeah, it depends on
classic marketing ploy to just get people talking.
Yeah,
that's how I'm seeing it. I can't imagine that they actually go at each other, unfortunately. But
yeah,
I think it would be a cool dynamic if they do.
Right, or we're gonna find out one of them's like brainwashed, or you know how that goes. But
the numbers.
Right.
What do the numbers mean, Mason?
Oh god, this is their chance to bring Mason into the Modern Warfare trilogy. Oh god. But yeah, I mean, just to round it out, they did confirm it's a linear, normal COD campaign. None of those like bloated open world segments that weren't really open world; they were just a Warzone map. None of the like choices. You know, there's no choice. It's just, hey, here's a cool story that we put together. 4 to 6 hours for you. Go have fun on a weekend before you jump into what you actually care about. They haven't said anything, but I am kind of hoping that they do the campaign first, like they did with Modern Warfare 2 and 3. I thought that was a great decision. Because we got to play the campaign. It was like an appetizer before we jumped into multiplayer. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I think they should do that from now on for every COD. Pre-order it and get early campaign. I think that's going to boost numbers for campaign if it's from like a marketing behind the scenes, like numbers or KPIs thing for the corporate world. I think that's a perfect move to get people to play the campaign. You're going to boost numbers. And then, when the full game drops, you don't have people splitting between, do I run the campaign right now or do I get left in the dust in multiplayer by the time I beat the campaign and switch over to that? So,
right, exactly.
I hope they do that for each COD moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on the same boat. Like I said, we really enjoyed when they did that a couple of years ago. So, nothing's been confirmed, either way yet, but I am hoping that they go down that route. Next up, it is coming to Switch 2. which is crazy because I don't know how this is going to run on a Switch. Switch 2 is a great console, but this does look not generationally better than the other games, but it does look better. You could tell they revamped the graphics a little bit from the last couple of years. But also, and this is the big one, and you and I talked about this last episode, it is not coming to last gen consoles. Thank God. I mean, it's about time. Yeah.
Leave the dinosaurs in the past. We're done.
Exactly.
We're done.
I mean, it's what, 6 years now, going on 6 years since the console's released. Don't support them anymore. You're only holding back dev time. You know what I mean? And in most cases, that's when you start seeing those technological leaps. Whenever devs no longer have to worry about it running on a PS4. No, it's running on a PS5 and an Xbox Series X. That's it. And PC obviously. But so that was a huge thing for me. That was obviously on our wish list that we talked about either last episode or the episode before. So really good to see that. Now this is kind of tied in to I mentioned we would talk about it later. That is the classic prestige system is back, but there's also a mode for folks that don't want to prestige. It was kind of hazy. I didn't quite understand what they were saying, but I guess do you keep leveling up or do you just
I'm very confused with this.
Yeah.
With how the non-classic prestige choice path works. I think I'm gonna wait to try to understand this until a COD Next or a showcase.
Yeah, because at one point it made it seem like you just stopped whatever, but then there's another point where it sounds like no, you still get new levels and whatever, but you don't get the big bonus XP that you get if you do classically prestige, and you don't get any of those rewards. Usually every prestige you get a whole bunch of rewards lately. So that's interesting. So they kind of made it so that if you hate prestige, they tried to do a best of both worlds approach. We'll have to see. Like I said, usually COD Next, we'll probably have more information for you guys. We already covered Bloom has been removed. That's huge. DMZ is back. And I'll let you kind of take the lead on this as our resident extraction shooter. Did you, from what you saw today and kind of all the other information that they leaked about the map and the weather systems and stuff like that, what are your thoughts on it? And if you want to run us through everything they revealed and stuff too.
Yeah, so I think it's still a little bit early with this one for DMZ. I think what they're calling the DMZ beta when it came out, was it Modern Warfare 2?
Yeah.
Modern Warfare 2019. Forget Modern Warfare 2.
Yep.
It was very bare bones. It was there. We're not doing zombies. What can we throw in as a second or third mode? At the time, we had a good time with it, but there were no stakes with it. There was no grind for oh my god, I just got this legendary piece. We need to extract and keep it. They did some skins by going into the hardest regions and getting taking down a high value target, but it was a very basic weapon skin or a weapon blueprint that wasn't that cool. It seems like they're going in a little bit more in depth this time. Don't want to get into it too much just because it's part of the Xbox showcase. Well, I guess I can because we are talking about COD right now. What they showed to end the Xbox showcase was the DMZ preview, but it was just a shoulder cam, like you're spectating one of your buddies in your trio in the match because you got downed and killed. They didn't show any looting. They didn't show any UI. They didn't show any map targets, missions associated with it. So I still think it's really, really early to tell how it's going to be fleshed out. My mind and my gut is saying that because it's Call of Duty, it's not going to be on the level of an Arc Raiders loot chase and loot grind or a Marathon loot chase loot grind. I think Arc has a pretty good system in play where when you do get these higher purple and legendary gear items, you start sweating hoping that you can make it out. Same thing with Marathon. I think Marathon even more so. In season 1, I came across 1 gold item. Granted, I wasn't grinding or like, going to the most optimal loot drop places, and I was solo queuing into trios that sometimes people didn't even know how to navigate the map. So I only saw 1 though, and it was like, oh my goodness, I need to get out of this map right now. I don't think they're going to have that in DMZ, unfortunately. I think it will be a pretty cool third mode. Um, I just don't think they're going to have the systems fleshed out as they need to really go all in on this is Call of Duty's extraction mode.
Yeah, I think one of the it has such potential, right? Well, we both said that about the DMZ beta, if they're calling that, back in 2022 with Modern Warfare 2. It had such potential, and we had some really good times in there. A couple hours worth of gameplay where we, squatted up with some friends, really enjoyed it. But like you said, there was no it felt very shallow. There was no reason to keep playing it other than like it almost felt just like another like multiplayer mode, right? Where it was just like you leveled up your guns or whatever, you had made some memories or had some fun experiences, like little cinematic moments, but there was no systems there to make you want to play more.
Yeah, and I mean, not to cut you off, but
Yeah.
I think to play devil's advocate, that's maybe what Activision or Infinity Ward wants, right? You and I have had discussions of you're not gonna you don't play Arc and you don't play Marathon because if you grinded 15 20 hours to finally start getting some really really good gear and you lost it to a camper who's invisible in the corner of the map, you wouldn't want to keep playing it.
Yeah.
And I think COD has this fine line that they're trying to, we want this to be this ultra competitive high stakes mode, but at the same time we know that the general COD player base probably wouldn't like losing this hard-earned gear that they get.
Yeah.
If they get sniped from across the map. So I don't think they're gonna, go full tilt into that. Hey, you've worked so hard to get this full end game gear loadout,
Yeah.
and you lose it in the first 5 minutes of the next match you load into it with. So
Yeah, that's fair. I do want to say, and I want to make note of this just because I've been asking for this in Call of Duty game forever, and I think this could trickle down into multiplayer and be huge. And that is a dynamic weather system is coming to the game. Now, I think we've talked about it, maybe not on this podcast because the podcast hasn't been around long enough. But I always thought that every year to pad out these maps that we're getting, right? Maybe only 12 maps. A dynamic time of day and weather system would go so far. How many times have they given us, crossfire at night or whatever, map variants? If that was just baked into the game and you loaded into the game, and maybe even in some maps there was seasonal, if you want to take it a step further, seasonal. So you had like winter crash, right? At night or in the morning or during a snowstorm or during a rainstorm. You could play crash, at any time of day, any season, whatever. Like that to me makes the game feel so much more reactive and stuff like that. So it would be interesting to see how they implement it in DMZ, and also really cool to see. Usually, how they do with these type of things, they implement it in one mode to see how they can then take it and implement it elsewhere. It'd be really cool to see if this finally came to multiplayer.
yeah, yeah, I agree for the most part. I think it's either a really positive thing or a really negative thing. If I'm thinking of DMZ, right? Let's say they do have some systems pretty fleshed out, and a fully kitted shotgun you finally get, or a fully kitted sniper, I think is a better example. You finally get, you load into your next match and it's a thunderstorm and everything's foggy and you can't see more than 20 meters in front of you. You're probably going to lose some gunfights because you just loaded in with a fully kitted sniper and you can't see more than 20 meters in front of you. So I think for DMZ that could be a little bit detrimental. I think it's cool. I'm excited for it, but I could see the ultra competitive people finding a problem with it.
Yeah.
By something like that example I just gave. Like oh, I just finally got this long range weapon, and I got unlucky and loaded into a foggy nighttime, weather um, variant, and I can't use this weapon that I just grinded for. So
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, yeah, I feel like that could also go the other way of like, oh, that's a challenge now. Now I'm going to have to try to loot a weapon with thermal or something like that. But
yeah, that's
yeah,
fair. That's
like
fair.
you said, a lot of people could just straight up complain, and I know to your point, the ultra competitive people 100% will. But oh well. Hopefully for us, it's fun.
Yeah.
One other, well, two other things I want to bring up. I have a screenshot here. Obviously, podcast listeners are not going to see it, but I would definitely check Twitter on it. They showed off the UI, especially the creative class UI, briefly. It looks like COD 4, and it looks absolutely amazing. I love it.
Yeah, this one gets an air horn from me as well.
Yeah, I mean, it just looks incredible. I really want to see the rest of the UI to see if the rest of it holds up. They already said like no, horizontal Hulu, looking things, but yeah, it'll be really cool to see how they do it. But at the very least, it looks like they're kind of going back to that. And then finally, we talked about this: is skill-based matchmaking coming back or not? They didn't confirm one way or another, but they did say they will be very transparent, upfront, and honest with us about whatever system is there. They kind of alluded to the fact it's going to be similar to Black Ops 7 in a couple of the different tweets and stuff I saw. But they didn't straight come back out and say, like, oh, we're having open matchmaking again. But they did at least say that they are going to be transparent with us, and they'll share that at a later date. I'm assuming COD Next, stuff like that, towards the end of the summer. So yeah, we'll get you any more information that we get on that. Again, there was some more stuff that was kind of released. We're not going to have the time to cover it all here today, so make sure to check us out. I think this week I'm going to try to create a Twitter account for us where I'll be retweeting a bunch of stuff like that, trying to get you guys a whole bunch of gaming news and stuff. So make sure to follow all of our socials to find that later this week. And then yeah, so I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think you're getting the game? Were you impressed by anything you saw?
Yeah, right now, like it looks better. You mentioned it earlier. Like you can definitely tell that they are kind of enhancing some of the things, clarity, and just getting that every year next level of graphical fidelity. That looks good. I'm still very hesitant on their whole social media push of keeping things grounded. We're not bringing in Nicki Minaj skins because we saw it last year with no carry forward with Black Ops 7. And then a month later, they started selling the skins that were skeletons with flames coming out of their head. So I'm not completely sold on that social media push. I think it's just to get people to buy the game, and then they're going to do whatever they want, like they always do. I'm excited to see DMZ kind of fully revealed, but I'm also not getting my hopes up too much for it because I don't think it's going to be as fleshed out as I would want it to be now getting into the extraction shooter. I think they're doing some things and taking some steps in the right direction though. It's probably inevitable for us to pick it up and be playing at midnight on launch day. We say it every year. We're done with Call of Duty, and every year we are on at 11:59 hyping it up and getting ready to jump in the first match. So will be a purchase, will be something that we'll be playing together. But yeah, I hope they keep it grounded. I hope DMC is good. But I'm keeping my thoughts and excitement and keeping my expectations level.
Yeah. I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. I think it passed that initial litmus test of the am I interested in this or not. Like whenever I saw the trailer, I saw some of the things that they posted throughout the day and that we just talked about, and it immediately was like, oh, okay, yeah. And I think for me, like you said, it's rooted in tradition now, especially for us too, and some of our other friend group. Like it's just something you get every single year, unless it's really bad. Like I hated it. Infinite Warfare, didn't buy it. Black Ops Cold War didn't really sell me. Didn't buy that, and I didn't have that reaction this year. It was very much like, oh, Okay, cool. Now, does that mean that I fell to my knees in a Kmart parking lot, weeping tears of joy? No, it didn't win me over that much, and maybe it will soon. But it very much so cleared that hurdle of this could be a good COD this year. So I'm looking forward to it at the very least.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's about it. As always, we will be covering all of the latest news to come from Modern Warfare 4 from now until release, and stuff like that. So make sure that you are following along and stay tuned to the podcast. Then, before we get into all of the E3 style press conferences from Summer Games Fest and everything, just a few small news stories to go over. Valheim is finally getting its 1.0 and Deep North update. And that is on September 9th of this year. So coming up, that game has been in early development for, I want to say, like 5-6 years, something like that. And it's finally getting a 1.0. I really enjoy it. As always, you guys know me, survival crafting, combat, RPG type games like that. I love. Valheim's a really cool game. I haven't gotten too far in it. Played a couple dozen hours of it and kind of put it down. But really cool to finally see that entering 1.0. Possibly for if you want to play it whenever it comes out.
Yeah. I've had Valheim in my cart on Steam so many times, and then I've never went through and finally purchased it. So good to hear that the full 1.0 is coming out. Depending on what's in my backlog at that point, maybe finally time to hit the checkout button when it's in the cart.
Yeah, absolutely. So that'll be exciting to see that whole game come to its fruition here, and maybe clears the runway for them to create Valheim 2. Who knows? Also, kind of speaking along similar lines, Grounded 2 is getting a massive expansion and is finally releasing on PS5. So Grounded 2, again, survival crafting type game, but it's one of Xbox's first party exclusives, or at least time gated exclusives, obviously. And so it's getting the Into the Abyss expansion, which is like an underwater, which looked really cool from the trailer I saw, and then it is coming to PS5. What are your thoughts on all these games getting to go? Like Forza's going to be going to PS5 eventually. We'll cover it in a second, the Xbox thing of them kind of going exclusive, but is this really a good model that they have now, or should they go full exclusive?
Yeah, I think it depends on what game they're coming out with. Something like Grounded, not a big deal for me. I think Forza, they should keep that private. Get back into that competitive kind of mindset. Sony has, what's their
Gran Turismo
game? Not Gran Turismo. And that's exclusive to Sony. So I would like to see them start to delve into more Xbox only exclusives. Even if it comes to PC, I don't agree with the argument of, oh, if Xbox is bringing a game to PC, it's not console exclusive. A PC is not a console, so yes, It technically is console exclusive. So I think it just depends on what game and what franchise they're working with.
Yeah, that's fair. I definitely agree. The bigger heavy hitters, Halo, Forza, Gears of War, Fable, stuff like that. You're put your movers and shakers. Yeah, you want to make, or games that will have a broad appeal, like Call of Duty, or something like that, where you stand to lose a bunch of money by not making them multi-plat, like Elder Scrolls 6 maybe or something. Stuff like that. In the case of Grounded 2. Who cares? You can make that. I think the time gate works well because it does add that air of exclusivity. Hey, you get to play it 6-8 months, however months early, up to a year early on Xbox, and then it'll come to PS5. And kind of go that way. But that's exciting. I think that's still technically in early access, not quite 1.0 yet. But it will be coming to PS5 here in August. And then next up, we actually talked about this game briefly because I said I tried playing it on my phone and hated it. That is Division Resurgence, and that will actually be coming to PC. So it's not just a mobile game anymore. It'll be like a full release coming to PC. Again, it's set between Division 1 and Division 2. So it is like a new story. It's not just the Division 1, ported to mobile or something. So that'll be cool. It'll be a new Division story to play around with, and looking forward to playing that. I don't know if it's free to play once it's on PC or not, but they did announce that it will be coming. So, yeah, pretty exciting stuff there. And then finally, the last little news story here is just that Forza Horizon 6 has already sold 6.4 million copies, and this is just a couple weeks out from launch. So, massive success for Xbox. And yeah, shout out to Playground Games for for making a hell of a game. And yeah, 6.4 million is a lot. That's a lot of copies.
Yeah, it is. It's a banger of a game. I'm still having a really good time with it. I think that says something for being such a casual racing game enjoyer. You know, I've beat the main story and I'm still jumping in and going back for more. So awesome game. It's good to see that they have sold that much, and hopefully there's no layoffs or bad juju with Playground Games coming anytime soon, given the success.
Yeah, absolutely. So hope looking forward to all of the DLCs coming out for that soon. Well, not soon, but eventually, things like that. And yeah, super good news for Xbox and anyone who enjoys racing games, to be honest. So next up, moving on, we will start to cover we have three main showcases that we're going to talk about here in this video, and that's going to round out the bulk of the rest of the podcast. Now, we are going to cover a lot of this super quickly. We're not going to go in depth over every game and give our discussion about how we felt on the trailer. We'd be here for 18 hours. So
you don't want to be here for 18 hours?
Well, my boss probably would not like it if I was still podcasting sometime tomorrow. So yeah, so we're just going to go over a brief overview. We'll kind of just toss it back and forth between us, announcing the games. And then if there's a big game that we do have some thoughts on, we'll stop, give some thoughts on it, break some more information out for you guys individually. So yeah, Ferg, you just want to go, we'll just go back front to back if you want to start us off with first game or two of Sony's State of Play.
Sure. I'm going to do two at a time because I want to get into the second one we have listed here. So first one, Ace Combat 8 Wings of Thieves, coming out in November. I'm so terrible with
October.
Showing the dates as numbers and correlating that to the month. So October. Thank you, sir. Also, to circle back to the Forza car names for the seasons, they were easy this week. So congrats, because last week I had some tongue twisters that I had to bring up. So yeah, you had it easy this week, pal.
It was just next one. It wasn't that bad. Come on now.
Next one, Control Resonant. So I'm very excited for this one. The original Control was the first game that I played on my gaming PC, and it kind of blew me away with the graphics and how well it ran and ray tracing, and like finally getting to play a game with the graphics cranked to 10. The gameplay was, I really, really enjoyed it. The story was a little bit hit and miss with me. Like it's a very deep and complex story. I think there's a lot of lore and hidden things that you can find within that game that I didn't delve too deep into. But the sequel looks really, really fun. I've really enjoyed what they've shown so far, and I'm definitely excited and gonna pick this one up for sure.
Awesome. Yeah, I've never really gotten into the franchise, but the visuals always look crazy. Like you said, definitely looks like a very interesting game. Not really my thing, so I haven't jumped into it, but this one's definitely looks like it's shaping up to be a good release. Next up, I'll jump into the next two, and then we'll kind of both go into the one after that. Dune Awakening is coming to console, to PS5, September 22nd. I know that sounds exactly like a game that I would love to play. I have not played it personally on PC. I've heard there's a lot of PvP aspects to it, and I kind of hate that about those type of games, so somebody can just come in and wreck your base or steal all your resources. That's not really how I like to play, so I haven't really picked it up. But it still looks like a really cool game. Some people have said some great things about it. That's coming to PS5. Dynasty Warriors 3 Remastered is coming October 1st of 2026. Again, never really played that series, but it looks like the remaster is coming soon. And then God of War Laffy. I think that's how it's pronounced, or Laffy. And this is a spin-off focusing on Kratos' wife, kind of in the afterlife. Obviously, she, the whole, like, the intro of God of War 2018 is that she died and stuff like that. So this is her going through the afterlife, tussling with gods and goddesses and stuff like that. I don't think they give a date. It was just kind of an announcement. And it is a spin-off. So I want to make this clear before we get into it. This is not God of War 5 or God of War, anything like that. It is just a spin-off. That being said, the internet has very divided right now. They are either over the moon excited or they are pissed off, to put it nicely. Yeah. So I wanted to get your thoughts. Whenever you watched that through, what were your thoughts, having played 2018 Ragnarok and stuff like that?
Yeah, so I think first off, Sony, in my opinion, they don't have a banger lineup of games coming out, so they ended the show with this. I think it was kind of a miss to end the last 20 minutes showing like uninterrupted 20 minutes of it. We've known that there has been a God of War spin-off game in the works. There was, it was speculation of, is it going to be Atreus standalone? What is it going to look like? Or is the next God of War going to fully fledge out into like Egypt mythology next? From what I've seen, to me, it seems a little bit more of God of War, the remake. When did God of War come out? 2016, the new one? In 2018. Yeah. It seems like more of the same with that. Great game, nothing against it. Combat's awesome. Story was awesome. But I don't think it's quite as big of the hit that Sony needed right now. I'm divided on it as well. Like, I love God of War. I thought the remake and the new mythology was awesome. I loved God of War and Ragnarok. I thought they were phenomenal games. This one seems a little bit like it could have been an expansion for me. The only reason that I think I am going to be excited about it is the story implications. I think, her going to this afterlife, I think they're calling it the every when, where time doesn't necessarily work in this place as it does elsewhere. Getting new gods from new mythologies in that place, there are implications of, if time doesn't work the same way, how did some of these gods get here? Is this kind of a prequel, or will the next full God of War technically be a prequel? Is Kratos going to go to Egypt mythology and kill all these gods that we're going to see, that his wife is seeing in this every one place, and that's how they get there? I think there are some really cool story implications that they could have. I also think they need to be really careful with some of the story implications. I think a lot of people loved the original God of War remake, not a remake, the 2018 God of War, because it was this really powerful story of grief and working through these things, when you lose somebody and they're never coming back. If they lean into, hey, Kratos' wife is, she's going to fight all these gods and then come back and be alive again, I think it's going to undo a lot of those really incredible story beats that Kratos and Atreus work through within God of War and Ragnarok. So I think it's, it's something that they need to deliver perfectly on for it to be a 10 out of 10. I think Santa Monica Studios can do it, but it's just so up in the air for me right now. I know that was a lot of word vomit, but there are so many paths that I think could either really make this game or really, really make it flop.
Yeah, I've played almost all of God of War 2018. Pocopia kind of came out and put a steak and knife in that. I'll probably have to go back to it and finish it up sometime this summer. And I do want to play through Ragnarok. So I do enjoy the series. I've enjoyed it a lot. I think, to your point, it's not really what Sony maybe needs right now, especially with people and I know you know how the internet gets with these things. Like they're very against Sony for some of their some of their policies or kind of artistic directions that they've taken with some things. And I think a lot of the internet was mad that it was coming out and it was like, oh, you're playing as a woman in God of War, and not even like a God of War and the character that we love. And that we've played for so many years, just like his wife, that you just see her her body burning in 1 second of an episode, or 1 second of the opening cutscene. And I can kind of sympathize with that to a point, but to me, it's a spin-off, so a lot of that stuff doesn't really matter as much. But I don't think it's going to hook people in the same way. Like, I don't mean this in really in like I'm not one of these internet warriors when I say any of this, but I think a big part of the God of War franchise is that you are kind of this badass with a deep voice that talks like this. Like, this badass God of War. And, I hate to say it, but it is kind of more of a masculine kind of fantasy type game. And I think there's spaces for that. So I think for them to kind of go off the rails, if this had been God of War 5 or the next God of War, that would have rang some more alarm bells, because like you're going completely against what in the name of whatever you want to call it. But I think this being a spinoff, it gives them some leeway. However, you can then argue, is a spinoff really the shot in the arm that Sony needs right now from a game's perspective? That is where I'm kind of like, not really.
Yeah. I think the timing around this and the next entry in the God of War series is going to be really important too.
Yeah.
If they come out and say this is coming, or maybe they're waiting for the GTA release to announce their release date. If it comes out February of 27, and near the end of 2027 we get the next teaser into the next God of War line, I think that will be fine.
Yeah.
But if we get this and have to wait another 2 to 3 years to get back to Kratos and Atreus, or maybe it just goes to Atreus' his son, I think you play a little bit more of a dangerous game of people getting more upset of the you're playing a woman lead, not this masculine true God of War, which is what the series is known for. I completely agree with you. Like, we are not going to not play a game because it's a female lead, like this is. But there are people who definitely won't play a game just for that reason. So hopefully they have something cooking in the background as well, and they can shoot right into the next main line in the God of War series. But I'm very wishy-washy with this. I think it could be a 10 out of 10. I think they could undo a lot of really, really good story beats that they've created in the original and in Ragnarok. So I'm interested to see how it's going to play out for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And we will be giving you guys all the latest information on it, obviously, as it leads up to launch. Here, anything big happens, we'll let you know. As always, the internet is going to internet, and there's going to be hatred on both sides in equal parts. So you just kind of got to cut through all the BS and really look at it for, hey, is it going to be a fun game? Is it going to be good for the studio and for gaming in general? And that's kind of how, we approach things on this one. But, at the very least, we do have to mention when there are controversies and things of that nature with anything. So with that out of the way, do you want to take us through next couple?
Sure thing. So Marathon, I believe at the State of Play was the launch date for Season 2 of Marathon. I've checked it out. I believe the first, when they launched it, they had some serious server issues. And it also launched with a free-to-play window as well. So that was definitely a bummer for Bungie on top of everything else going on with Bungie. They're really getting a lot of negative publicity with, every wrong thing that I think can happen with Marathon is unfortunately happening. But I did jump into Season 2. The night variant of Dire Marsh, one of the maps, is pretty cool. I mean, it is a true night variant. It's not one that's a little bit darker or grayscale. It is, if you do not have your flashlight out, you cannot see what you are doing, which I think is the way it should be. in those kind of night variants for maps. It's been pretty fun. I mean, it's more the same. They added a new cradle system, they're calling it, which you can kind of break down some of the gear that you collect and bring into your vault, and divvy that XP that you get from breaking it down into some of the systems like endurance, so you can sprint further without having to hit your cooldown, or your melee and strength is a lot stronger and deals more damage. So some people are saying, with Destiny 2's end, this is their, they're starting to bring in that class building aspect of, gear rolls like in Destiny 2's armor system. It's somewhat making its way into Marathon because you can, push and pull your skills and XP into your health or your stamina. So it's been okay. It didn't get a significant jump in player count and player base so far. So hopefully they can support the game a little bit longer. But unfortunately, I think Marathon still is just not hitting the expectations that they thought with that. So rolling right into the next Sony exclusive, Wolverine. This is how they started the Sony State of Play. They kind of gave an extended look into one of the single player missions, showed off some new mutants that are going to be involved in the storyline, and finally showed a really good look at gameplay. I think this looked great. The Insomniac Spider-Man games I think they were really, really good. Wolverine is shaping up like it's going to be really good. It's they've come out and said it's a little bit more linear. It's not an open world like Spider-Man was. So hopefully there's enough content in it. But I think the gameplay looked good, like what you expected from, first off, Insomniac. Because they made the Spider-Man games, I think the combat was, you knew what you were going to expect switching to like a Wolverine player. Very visceral. No complaints with this one. I think it's going to be a pretty fun game. Kind of a bummer that Sony has cut off all of their PC ties. I actually got rid of my PS5, so I was planning on playing this one on PC, but that is no longer the case. So
yeah, Chelsea still has a PS5, so I might be able to convince her to let me use it for a little bit to play it. But yeah, it definitely looks like a cool game. I just, we'll have to see. Maybe it's definitely something I'm going to wait till after release to see reviews and stuff like that. But it looks really cool, and it looks like it might be a good title for them just in general. So I'm going to rip through a bunch of these kind of fairly quickly. There's not too many that we need to discuss. Next up was Ill, which is a new first-person horror that looked pretty cool with some zombies and some other elements like that. The first-person point of view was, I thought, really cool and kind of immersive. I'm not really a horror person game, but that looked pretty cool. There's an announcement for 1.0 release of No Rest for the Wicked, which is like a Souls-like hack-and-slash type game. That is finally getting a 1.0. Onimusha Way of the Sword. That's coming out September 25th, and they actually announced that a demo, free-to-play demo, would launch right then and there as of the show, which is my favorite part of these conferences. Anytime they're like, hey, by the way, you can go play this right now. So that was announced for that game. Phantom Blade Zero, which is a fast-paced action RPG, is coming out October 29th, and that will be getting its own Sony State of Play later on this summer, dedicated to that with some more information. And then next up, and this is a game that I've had a lot of fun with, and I'm glad that console folks will finally start getting at, and that is RuneScape Dragon Wilds, the survival crafting game from Jagex. And that is coming out, I don't have an exact date, but that is finally coming to PS5 as it slowly works its way towards a 1.0 release itself. Rayman Legends Retold, which is just a remaster of Rayman Legends, is coming October 1st. Ferg, you want to bring us through some of the next ones there?
Yeah. Next up, Silent Hill Townfall. Going right into the next one being Stuntman Hollywood, which I kind of got a chuckle out of this one. I remember playing some of the Stuntman games on the 360. More of the demos rather than the full game. I don't think I ever bought like a full Stuntman game. But I thought that was pretty interesting that they're bringing, um, a new addition to that series. The Lost Wild, which is a survival horror game with dinosaurs coming in 2027. This one, it looked interesting at first, but I think some of the gameplay sections looked a little janky. So hopefully it was just because, it's still being worked on and it's state of play, whatever. There. Tomb Raider Legacy of Atlantis. I meant to look into this. Do you know if this is a remaster or is this a new addition in the series?
So there's one that's like a spiritual successor to the older games, and then there's another one coming out that's like a continuation of the newer style games. I think this is the one that's kind of like a spiritual successor. I don't think it's a remake. It might be. I haven't followed them too closely. I just know that whenever they originally announced all this several months ago, it was like one was kind of going back to the roots, and then the other one was like kind of the next one in the franchise. But in the small little portion I saw, she was dressed like old Lara Croft, so I'm gonna assume it's in that vein.
Yeah, gotcha. And then the last one we have on the list here is Until Dawn 2, which was kind of a head scratcher for me. It looked, from what they showed, it looked completely unrelated to the original Until Dawn. And then the title card hit, and it was Until Dawn 2. So I'm interested to see if it ties in at all to the original Until Dawn, or if this is, and I'm blanking on the studio's name at this point. If this is, their new series is just going to be kind of hidden and unique horror stories in each entry into the Until Dawn series now. But that is coming out in 2027. Probably one that I'll check out. I really liked the original Until Dawn, kind of that horror choose or die type of game where everybody can live, everybody can die. I think that's kind of a fun game to sit down. Jess and I actually sat down and played through Until Dawn together, and that was a good time to kind of go back and forth between, all right, you're going to make the next decision and we'll see what happens, and I'll make the one after that. So excited for that. Just a little confused on how it's an Until Dawn game.
Yeah, that was my kind of confusion with as well, because I was like, isn't this just a big anthology now where it's all in the same universe, but it's like different stories. And if this one wasn't directly tied to the events of the first one, I don't know why you would call it Until Dawn 2. So that's weird. But yeah, I know those games are always universally pretty well liked for the most part for the fans that are into that. It's not really my type of game just because they are. I'm more liable to watch a gameplay. I'll say, like on YouTube. Like I think they're really well done in that regard. Just not one that I'll sit down and play, but I have watched through a fair bit of Let's Plays on YouTube and stuff. So yeah, overall, I thought it was kind of, and I see in your notes like you kind of said the same thing. I thought it was kind of just okay. Maybe not as crazy announcements as I thought that there would be. The God of War thing was cool in that hey, I love anytime there's a new installment to a well-known franchise, especially one as big and one that I enjoy like God of War. But again, there was no blockbuster crazy things that just blew my socks off that I saw it come across my Twitter feed. I did not get to watch this live. I was at work, I believe, working on a project. So I wasn't able to just kind of pull it up on my second monitor or something. I was pretty busy, so I just kind of went back and watched it through. But yeah, nothing jumped out as crazy to me. Just a couple kind of cool announcements, but nothing.
Yeah. I think they really hyped this state of play up a little bit more than they typically do. So I was expecting something a little bit bigger. And feel like they somewhat underdelivered. I think they showed a lot of good stuff. I think Wolverine is going to be great. I think God of War inevitably is going to be a good game. Like the combat in those games are phenomenal. I really, really enjoy them. But I also think in the same breath, it's going to be more of the same. It didn't look like there were too many systems from what they've shown so far that are really going to be different than what you've done in God of War and in God of War Ragnarok. Like there's a dedicated jump button now. How much is that really going to change the moment-to-moment gameplay. We'll see. I'm also, like I said earlier, kind of in between. I think they could undo a lot of the really, really phenomenal story beats that they have already created. Maybe they expand on it and make it better. Those two were the heavy hitters for me, as I'm sure they were the heavy hitters for everybody else. But one thing that I've noticed, and we have been talking about this the past couple days, I think Sony right now is just pumping out samurai Souls-like games like crazy. And I'm like, I kind of feel over it. Like, how many different samurai games can
Yeah.
we honestly get right now? Um, and there were even a couple in the Xbox showcase that I was like rolling my eyes. We have enough. The market is oversaturated with samurai games for my liking. If you love them, more power to you, because you are going to be feasting in the next 6 months with all of these releases. But yeah, I think it was really hyped up. I think it slightly under delivered. I would probably give it a 7 out of 10 on the state of play.
Yeah, absolutely. And I kind of share your, and not so much the same. I mean, you're definitely right. There's a lot of samurai games. I haven't, like, it hasn't burned me out just because I don't play any of them. But I will say, every other game being a Souls like nowadays is really starting to piss me off. I don't play Souls like. I don't particularly like Souls like. And stuff like that. I can appreciate them for what they are, but I just feel like it's one of those trends that's like every single game is now a Souls like. I see a really cool game on Steam. Oh, Souls like is the very first tag, stuff like that. So to your point, whether it be an oversaturation of samurai specifically, that kind of setting, or Souls like at some point, some things have to change. We have to mix it up, and who knows what the next genre will be that will be beaten like a dead horse.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that kind of wraps it up for Sony's State of Play. We'll move on to the second. I think chronologically speaking, the second big conference, and that is Summer Games Fest. So I'll again rattle off some will go into detail, but we want to give you a high level overview of everything covered in these. First up, and this is what Summer Games Fest ended on. This was their big, and one more thing, which I will say before I get into it, I was really impressed. Jeff Keighley tweeted out like, hey guys, like, I think it was right at the beginning of the show, he actually tweeted out and said, hey, we know like the last game that we're going to announce today is a single player story driven experience. We've heard you, don't worry, or something along those lines. And I just laughed because I was like, that it takes some balls to come back and say after,
I think he ended it by saying thank you for your feedback. So yeah, that was kind of funny that he acknowledged it and kind of set the expectations before Summer Games Fest went live.
Yeah, so I mean, at the end of the day, it didn't end up being a game that I really care that much about. It ended up being Final Fantasy VII Revelation, which is like the final part in the Final Fantasy VII like remaster that they've been doing. I don't know how these games work because I thought the old game was just one game. Maybe it was. I don't know, but they've been like remaking or remastering the game for I feel like 5 or 6 years now. Where it's just been like broken into. I think this is the third game, so I think it was like 3 games that was broken into. But this is one Final Fantasy VII Retribution, or I'm sorry, Revelation, and that will be coming out in 2027. I don't think I've ever. That's not a game you play, right?
Yeah, no, that Final Fantasy is not in our repertoire for games played. It has a huge, following.
Yeah.
Can't even. I was gonna say cult following, but it's not a cult following. So many people love Final Fantasy games. My only thing that and you'll see as we get to the Xbox Showcase as well. I think Sony State of Play, Summer Games Fest, and Xbox Showcase dropped the ball on the final trailer, the final gameplay for every showcase. The only reason why I say it for Final Fantasy is, and I could be remembering incorrectly, I feel like when they first announced, hey, we are remaking and remastering Final Fantasy VII, it was announced that it was going to be split in different parts. So to me, this was not something new. Like, people should have expected this to come out and shouldn't have been surprised. I feel like it was treated more so as a surprise announcement rather than, hey, we are finally going to give you a look at it announcement. So I was like, that's cool, but I thought we knew that this was happening. So probably would have ended it with something different if they could have.
Yeah, I think it was overall still good, much better than ending with Highguard at the Game Awards. Like you said, there's a rabid fan base for Final Fantasy, so this is definitely a good pick to make. But to your point too, they could have maybe had a bigger blockbuster. I don't know which one from this list I would have done otherwise. But yeah, it did.
Yeah,
Kind of
there are a
just fall
couple in
flat.
here that I think would have been a bigger surprise and
Yeah,
created a little bit more hype if it was the final one. But
yeah. So that was the final. We put this first, kind of anti-chronologically, just to because we wanted to discuss it and the implications of it being the last one final thing. But yeah, there's Final Fantasy VII Revelation. Then we'll just rip through some more. Resident Evil Code Veronica. Are you planning on getting that? I know you usually
yeah,
like those
so
games.
I was never into Resident Evil when I was younger. My first Resident Evil game was RE7,
Mhm.
which was was that Biohazard or was it RE6?
No, our
Or was RE7 Village? I'm gonna look this up real quick.
no,
Um,
Village was 8.
Village was 8. Okay, so yeah, Resident Evil 7, Biohazard was kind of my first game in the RE series, and I loved it. I followed Village coming up, loved it. I still need to get the new one that just dropped. I think the whatever system that the RE engine, I think is probably the best looking fidelity game system on the market right now. Um, I think the games are just a lot of fun. They're incredible. That like the fidelity is unreal. I remember having to I needed to take a break from Village because of one section. I just needed to take a break because I was so wigged out and it looked so realistic to me. So I'm definitely gonna pick that one up. I was excited, and I think this is a pretty big remake in the series that they're updating with this new RE system. So pretty excited for it.
Awesome. They also talked about Alien Isolation 2, which is a follow up to Alien Isolation that was very well received. Everyone really enjoyed. Aeon 2, AION 2 is a new MMORPG coming in September. So I might be checking that out, trying to get some more information about it. TMNT The Last Ronin, which is apparently a comic book or something like that that's being adapted. That looks super cool. I know, once again, might be something down your neck of the woods there.
Yeah, I think this is what I was kind of alluding to end the show on. This one has been rumored for a while, so they're finally being confirmation that this game is in development. I haven't read the comic series or the line on this spin for the TMNT series, but I know there is a serious hardcore following for it. So I'm definitely gonna stay in tune for this one.
Awesome. Yeah, that is coming out. I don't think they gave a date, but I believe it said 2027, or maybe they just announced that it was coming out. Then we have 1666 Amsterdam, which I thought was Assassin's Creed Hexe whenever I was originally watching it. It is not. It is a new game from one of the previous directors or something like that of Assassin's Creed, and it's kind of like an action game, set in, looks like some witch trials type stuff. And that looked pretty cool. I'm interested to hear more about that. It's coming to early access later this year. Star Wars Zero Company, which is an XCOM tactical game, is coming out in August. I'm not a fan of the XCOM tactical RPG, move your players here, that type of genre. But yeah, I don't.
I am.
Yeah,
I am. So I'm definitely going to be picking this one up. I like those games in general. The Star Wars spin on it looks good to me.
awesome. So yeah, that'll be coming out soon. I know this is another one people were waiting to hear about. We finally got some word about, so that's super cool. Stellar Blade Blood Rain, previously Stellar Blade 2. Now they finally have a title for it. It'll be Stellar Blade Blood Rain. Monster Hunter Wilds Ascendance, which is a big expansion for Monster Hunter Wilds, is coming out. And then Wolf Among Us 2. is coming out in 2027, and then they're also remastering the original Wolf Among Us this holiday as kind of a lead into that, so you could get back into the series and get hyped for that. Do you want to take us through a couple more there?
Yeah. One thing about Wolf Among Us, I know that one definitely has a cult following. So,
Oh yeah.
I've seen it throughout the years. Never played it, but with the remaster coming, I may finally jump in and try to see what all the hype is about for that one. Jumping into the next kind of set of games here, they showed off Gen Atlas, which honestly, off the top of my head, I'm not remembering this one.
It was like Shadow of the Colossus, I think.
Gotcha. Oh yeah. That one looked interesting. Very robotic and kind of like massive mechs in nature. So we'll see how that pans out with that one. They showed off a little bit of 007 First Light, the roadmap there, which 007 First Light has been getting really, really good reviews. I'm probably going to wait until it gets on sale. I really, really liked all the Hitman games. Definitely going to want to check that out. Hopefully by the time it goes on sale, they have some more free DLC added to it there. Guild Wars 3, they showed off. I know Guild Wars has a pretty massive following there. I think they also announced that this third one will be a one-time purchase rather than a kind of a monthly or yearly fee. I've never played or got into the Guild Wars games, so I feel like that's probably a good thing, not having to rely on paying a monthly subscription to continue to play a game, but need to get a little bit more detail there to see how that is going to work out. Mm-hmm. Big one next, Power World 1.0 is coming in July. You and I have played that together right when it dropped. So it's going to be interesting to me to see how they're fleshing it out to come out with a 1.0 release, everything that they're adding. I think they had some, we played it very early access. They had some good systems. There were some definitely some janky things with it. They ran into some potential lawsuits with Nintendo. So it was a little bit rocky for some time for Power World. But it's good to see that they're getting their 1.0 release. I'm assuming this is going to be one that you're going to be rechecking out.
Oh yeah, for that 1.0. Absolutely. I'll probably start a whole new world and whatever. But yeah, super excited to get that. I'm also super excited for Guild Wars 3. Just any new MMO, I'm always excited to see release. I only played a little bit of Guild Wars 2, but anytime, I think that genre needs to make a return, to be honest. But yeah, Power World, super excited. Already hoping that a bunch of friends will get it, and maybe we'll pile back in there for a little bit there on 1.0 release.
Yeah, for sure. You'll probably have me jumping into the world with you. One more before I throw it back to you. 2 new games were announced from the Cuphead developers, including a Cuphead sequel. I really enjoyed the first Cuphead. I thought it was, one of those games that was very unique in the art style. Obviously, it's all, hand drawn and kind of that old timey graphics animation type. I thought it was a really good game. I'll probably check out the sequel when it comes out. But they did announce that there are 2 new games coming from that developer.
Yeah, the other one looks like a retro, 8-bit type game. I think it's called Super Cupman or something like that.
Yeah, Cuphead Adventures or something like that.
Yeah, so they're both kind of in the Cuphead universe, if you want to call it that. But yeah, one is a sequel. That one had a lot less information. They just kind of announced that there is a sequel. So that's super cool. So moving on, the next one, and this one looks to be kind of interesting. This is Crossfire, which is a third-person kind of military shooter. Very narrative-driven. It looks like a single-player experience, maybe co-op. But they said they have this brand new cover system that looks super cool. But it also has, and I didn't realize this at first, everyone was freaking out over the female lead that's in it, in a good way of oh, she's in it. I didn't know who that was. Apparently she's been in a lot of things, but she was also Farah in the Modern Warfare series. So that's kind of cool. I did not know that, but yeah. So, and I'm blanking on her name, the actress's name, but that will be coming out soon. Then there's Attack on Titan 3, which kind of continues some more story into the anime. Um, if you're a big fan of Attack on Titan, that game's coming out soon. This one is really interesting and one that I'm going to keep an eye on, and this is Clutch, which is an open world racing games from some former devs of Forza Horizon series. This is coming in the spring of 27, and it looks to be pretty narrative focused. Obviously, it's an open world racer, so I'm not sure what all that entails. Sorry, I got a little bit of hiccups there. I'm not sure what all it entails. But it looks very, very narrative driven. The story or the trailer was like nothing but like a strong narrative. So a little bit different than a Forza Horizon. So we'll have to keep tabs on that. Me, a racing game, addict, if you want to call it that. So really open to see this one. Next up is Hot Wheels Infinite Rush, which looks like a fun open world Hot Wheels game, kind of in the same vein as like the last, like Hot Wheels Unleashed, or whatever those games were in the last couple of years.
It was kind of another like crack the smile, crack the laugh that this was coming out. I remember when the other two, I think just the first one we played together, but Unleashed went on sale for like $9.99 at one point, and we were like, yeah, what the heck, and we got it, and it's like just a fun, goofy Hot Wheels game. So this one looks like it's going to be the same.
Yeah, I always enjoy jumping in and playing these. Even if you play them for 10 hours, they're just some dumb fun to have. Usually they come out all around the same time, which is kind of weird in like September. So it's like that nice, summer's winding down. You just want something fun to play. So definitely looking forward to that. This one's crazy. I don't even want to say this out loud, but Among Us has a story expansion narrative experience. I don't know. It's called On Guard. And yeah, I can't think of something I could possibly think any less of. But that is coming if you're still playing Among Us. The Blood of Dawnwalker, which is like the vampire kind of action game. That looked pretty cool. Again, we just got more cinematics. I was kind of hoping for some gameplay, but it is what it is. Lords of the Fallen 2, which I think Lords of the Fallen is like a Souls-like. They got pretty high praise the first time around. The second one is coming this fall. And then last one before I kick back to you, Saw Genesis, which I didn't even know they still made Saw games.
I think this one was a big surprise. Sorry to cut you off there, big surprise. I thought it was going to be similar to they did make a Saw game for I believe either the original Xbox or the 360. That was a story-driven game, like a puzzle game, figure your way out. But this one looks like it's going to be a 3v1 multiplayer spin. So could see it getting a very small cult following, but nothing that at least interests me. I think I would have been more interested in a single-player puzzle-driven.
Awesome. And then we have Mafia: The Old Country is getting an expansion. I think it has like the original character from the first Mafia game, so that's kind of a cool tie-in. That is coming out August 14th. Gundam Rogue Orbit. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see this part of the show. I was only able to watch a little bit of it. Don't know too much about this, but it sounds like a Gundam game, which isn't probably on either of our radars anyways. The next one does look kind of cool, and that is Haex or Haex. I'm not sure how you say it. Haex. It's coming in 2027. Is a first-person shooter from some former devs of The Division, but the trailer didn't really explain much. It looked like you were maybe fighting aliens or some weird stuff, but it did look like a first-person shooter with maybe some platforming and stuff thrown in there as well. But looked kind of cool. I don't know. I definitely want to hear some more about it.
Yeah, it was pretty vague, but it was intriguing. I think something to pin and wait until they come out with a little bit more to explain what it actually is.
Yeah, exactly. The next one might be even weirder than the Among Us. and that is Stranger Than Heaven, which the trailer kind of opened up and it looked like kind of a Yakuza game maybe or something like that, set in like, kind of older Japanese city. And then Tupac walks in. And I wish I was kidding. The guy opens the door. This entire thing has been in Japan with Japanese folks the entire time. He opens the door and Tupac just like kind of like saunters out in like this really weird and he's like
Back
in
from
the
the
game.
dead.
Yeah.
And then Snoop Dogg walks out on stage 5 minutes later.
Yeah. Like what is going on? I like any other type of game it would have made sense, but what?
Yeah, maybe it's just smart marketing because I have not got into the Yakuza series, like Persona, anything very heavily Asian inspired. I'm just something that I've never given the time. But I saw Tupac and I said, "Oh, maybe I'll check this one out."
That is not true at all.
No, yeah, no, very, very strange, very strange. I'm sure they're gonna tie it in narratively, but yeah, it was definitely weird to see Tupac and then Snoop Dogg come out on stage and talk about partnering with Tupac's estate to bring him in the game. So,
Closer to this game when we have more time on the podcast, I want to get into the ups and downs of AI use, bringing people back from the dead in games like this. We're seeing it more often with like hologram shows, in music and stuff, and in movies. I think voice of Darth Vader, what's his name? James Earl Jones, I think already gave clearance to like use his voice forever for anything. Just stuff like that. So we're not going to touch on it too much now, but definitely a concept to delve in deeper. But yeah, just such a weird release. And then, the last thing really we want to touch on is just Blood Message, which is another... this isn't Samurai. This is Ancient China. So
okay.
it's tangentially close.
Yeah.
The same time period.
Okay. It's a samurai game.
It's, but yeah, another action game. And that about rounds it up for Sony's State of Play. Summer Games Fest. So overall, I think a little better games here, more interesting stuff than Sony's State of Play. Still, nothing like just blew my socks off. Like we talked about earlier, I think having a different game for the final game would have been a little better, but I still want to give Jeff Keighley and those guys credit for listening to the audience and actually giving a narrative, single player, somewhat blockbuster type event that showed some balls in my mind to come back and say, hey, we messed up with High Guard. Here you go. And I think a lot of people were really excited for it. Both of us kind of fell flat just because we don't like the series. And like Ferg said, we kind of already knew this was coming as opposed to a completely out of left field announcement. But I think there's a lot of people who were sleeping pretty good last night after seeing that. So,
yeah, I'd give Summer Games Fest a 7.5, just a little bit over Sony's State of Play. I think Resident Evil Code Veronica is going to be sweet. Alien Isolation 2 is going to be sweet. The first one was a very good game. I liked it a lot. The Last Ronin was heavily rumored, and they finally confirmed that it was coming, which I think excited a lot of people. And then it seemed like the rest of the announcements was there was something for pretty much everybody. No first-person shooters, no big first-person shooters, but pretty much something for everybody.
Yeah. So last but not least, we will rip through everything cool, everything interesting with the Xbox showcase. Again, some things we will not cover at all besides saying that we saw them. Other things we'll dive into a little bit here and there. They opened up the show, and this was the only one out of these three that I was able to see from front to back, minute 1 to minute 200, whatever. And that is they opened up the showcase with Gears E-Day. So Gears of War E-Day, which is the prequel to the Gears franchise, and that is coming out October 6th. They also did a what's it called? Like a deep dive, a showcase type thing, a direct, I think they call it, after the show, so it was kind of weird they opened with this and then they had like 25 minutes afterwards. I'll let you give your thoughts on this just because I don't really play Gears, so it looked super cool. Maybe I'll give it a try. But someone like you that's a huge fan of the franchise, let us know what they showed and your thoughts on it.
Yeah, I absolutely loved what they showed. Being a huge Gears fan, I really wanted, the last couple entries to get more into that gritty, visceral, grounded, like doom and gloom. We are not going to survive what, the world has thrown us with the Locust. And I think from what they've shown, they're gonna kind of nail that setting and that feeling. Um, it's a prequel to the original trilogy, showing Marcus and Dom on what they're calling E-Day, the first day that the locusts arrive and having to deal with it. But I think there is a clear graphical jump
Oh
in,
yeah.
from the last years. I think I keep saying it, but the fidelity is great. I think it nails the grittiness, the atmosphere. It's extremely visceral, like nothing held back, which I think is one of the things that I really like about Gears is, getting the Lancer chainsaw execution on a Locust is always super satisfying. Um, and a couple of the other things that they talked about a little bit in the kind of follow up direct. One thing that I'm huge on when it comes to Gears is I do like the multiplayer, but the horde and the co-op modes is where I've spent a lot of time in high school playing with the buddies back in the day. And the horde mode, they confirmed that it is coming back, and there's also going to be kind of a portion of that horde mode that is a 12-player co-op experience, which I think is pretty bonkers. I think that is going to be incredible. Super, super pumped for it. And I think what they showed was a 10 out of 10. Um, a little biased because it's Xbox, a little biased because it's Gears of War, a franchise that I'm very passionate about and I love. But I think they knocked it out of the park with what they showed.
Yeah, yeah, it looks definitely cool. Like I said, that or like you had alluded to, that the graphics look incredible. They showcase the new blood and gore system. Really looks intricate and something that is core to that franchise. So overall, I think I might give it a look. I haven't really played any of the games, so maybe this is they did specify that this is a great jumping in point for new people in the franchise, especially with it being a prequel. So maybe this is where I jump in and give her a ride. So yeah, we'll definitely be covering it here on the channel, and maybe even doing a little review when it comes out here. When does that come out? Does it come out in October? Right? Yeah, October 6th.
October, yeah, which was the cherry on top. They unveiled this, I want to say 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Don't quote me on that. And it was kind of radio silence until today, and it's coming out in a few months, which is awesome.
Yeah. So we'll get our hands on it pretty soon. Next up, a game that we will not be getting our hands on pretty soon, unfortunately, but I think there's a reason for that. That is Fable. They released a little bit more about like the main bad guy girl. I think it's Haley Atwell. I don't think we confirmed that, but I'm pretty sure it's Haley Atwell.
It is. It is.
Okay, so we got Captain America's wife in the game. It's crazy. But yeah, no. So they unveiled that, and then they did give us a final release date. They pushed it back. Everything that I've seen and that I can surmise is because it would have been coming out in November. And I think that they said, you know what, we're not even going to touch GTA 6 and just punted it. Here, guys, get 3 more months of QA done for the game, whatever. I personally don't have a problem with it. Like I said, I probably wouldn't have played it at the other release window anyways. I know for you, this is kind of a major momentum killer in the hype train side of things. But I think overall the game still looks really good.
Yeah, I think I'm getting burnout on the delays and pushes for this
Yeah.
one. The problem with me, I think, is when these delays happen, I'm expecting it to be that much better, that much more gripping, that much more like I've never played a game like this before. And while I think it's going to be a good game, I don't think it's going to deliver that for me. Um, then again, it is a smart move to not try to compete with GTA if it does come out. at the end of this year. So I get it, but I feel like unfortunately they've delayed it so many times already for me that it's getting to the point where I'm losing interest.
Yeah, yeah, that's completely fair. Hopefully that release date sticks, and we do see Fable coming out. Yeah, in February, towards the end of February of 2027. Next up, and this is Halo Campaign Evolved, which is like a remake of the very first Halo game. So not like Halo Anniversary Edition, which was more so a graphical, upgrade in fidelity. This is like a full-on remake. I know before they said they're upgrading different things, changing some of the levels to make them a little more, up to recent standards. And then they are adding 3 new missions as well to pad out the runtime, make the story a little more cohesive, different things like that, give you some more time with some of the characters. And I'll be getting this. I'm not a massive, massive diehard Halo fan. I love this series. I've obviously played pretty much every single game. It was a big part of my childhood. That comes out July 28th. So I'm definitely going to hop in. Hopefully, some of our buddies that we used to play Halo with, I'd love to do a legendary campaign run. Maybe the 4 of us if they support that. And yeah, looking forward to this. Looking forward to seeing what all they remake, to bring it up to standards. So
yeah, I think I'm with you on wanting to play this for like a legendary campaign run with the
yeah,
boys. A little fatigued on the Halo remasters with the Master Chief Collection, and then the graphical fidelity update that you just mentioned as well with it. Cool that they're making a few new missions, but it's not something that I think I would run out and buy day one. It's good that it's coming to Game Pass, and that's probably
yeah.
the reason why I will for sure check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, and this is a series that I think I'm going to have to get into. I just have to. It always looks cool. I've never done it, and that's the Plague Tale series. The latest game, Plague Tale Resonance, is coming out, and the trailer actually really hooked me. It looked really cool. Obviously, it's not full on gameplay, but that is coming out in late August, so August 27th of this year. I think in between now and then, I think I'm going to have to try to play through those games, see if it's a series that I enjoy, because this definitely looked like a cool game, and yeah, I might have to play through it. Next up, I could care less about these games, but I know they have massive following. Persona 4 is getting a remaster, and then a little bit later in the broadcast, they announced that finally Persona 6 will be coming out, which I thought was a pretty big announcement. This is one of those, like, I don't really give a crap, to be honest, but, like, I could feel the gravity of the situation, like, oh, damn, like, somebody's probably screaming right right now, like, it's a huge series, rabid fan base, and it is the next big game in the series, so that was really cool to see, even if, like I said, I don't know about you, but I've never played these games. Probably never will.
No, no, same for never played, probably never will. The Persona 6 reveal was very, very, very bare bones.
Yeah.
So that makes me wonder how far in development they are for it. But like you said, I'm sure there were people that were losing their minds seeing that P6 pop up on the stream. So cool to see there. I can take the next few.
Yep.
Rolling right into State of Decay 3. Looks like this one's going to be coming out in 2027. I dabbled in the first one. I think I'll definitely give 3 a shot if it's coming to Game Pass, which I think they confirmed that it is. I like the zombie survival take. I kind of like the build crafting and the survival crafting that the original had. I know they've expanded on it quite a bit with the last entry, State of Decay 2. So yeah, it was cool to see this one finally get a reveal date. I think it's been kind of a long time coming, if I'm remembering correctly. But yeah, something I'm going to check out. I think, AJ, you mentioned that you were potentially going to check it out as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Rolling right into the next one, Sea of Thieves showed off some new updates, some new modes that really kind of dove into kind of a custom games setting. we have a note here in the script that it kind of looks a little Fortnite-y, in terms of just like, I think there was one section of the trailer that showed a pirate on an island with like 500 TNT barrels that he was about to light up and explode. So just kind of some goofy things coming to Sea of Thieves for the following there.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Any thoughts?
Yeah, it just kind of looks like an event lab type, like custom forge type thing. I, Sea of Thieves for me, we tried playing it. It's just, I don't think it's I think Windrose is definitely more down our alley in terms of, what we like to do. But yeah, overall, I think this is a really cool addition. Anytime a game does this and opens up pretty much unlimited hours of gameplay for those, willing to take a shot at it, I'm always in full support of. So if you're still hanging around Sea of Thieves, definitely check this out. Looks like it'll be a pretty cool one.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Next one that I'm going to throw right back to you, Metro 2039. I haven't played any of these games. They definitely look like they're very good games. They did remaster the original Metro. I think they called it Metro Redux, which I believe you have downloaded and put a little bit of time in, but you were saying you were pretty excited for this one and probably going to check it out.
Yeah, this is like one of those, and I feel like everyone has them. They're franchises that always look so cool and you're so into them, but you've never really played them. Or maybe you have tried to play them and you can't get into them, but you still like find yourself getting excited when the new one's released or a DLC is released for one or something like that. And for me, this is one of those franchises. I think the setting and everything is really cool. I tried playing the one. I did enjoy it, but then I got like stuck in a weird thing, and then you know how that goes. It just kind of kills your momentum, and I just kind of stopped playing. But I did re-download it, the Metro 2033 Redux, which is the like remaster, and then I'll probably, if I beat through that, I'll play the second and third one leading up to this. But yeah, this looks super cool. I can't wait. The visual fidelity again on this one. This game looks really good from a visual standpoint, and yeah, really looking forward to. Like I said, I want to jump in. I want to love this series, and I want to play it through. So here's to hoping, and excited to see this coming in February. So right around Fable.
Yeah, I'm the same way. It's like, I've seen it so many times and like, oh, do I download it now? I'm kind of on a lull and never do. So
yeah.
Maybe this will be the one that I finally check out.
There you have it.
I'll throw it back to you if you want to go through the next next few.
Yeah, we're just gonna really rattle through some of these because a lot of it was this was kind of the doldrums of the showcase. So there's a game called Bad Magpie. It was weird. It was like a little adventure game. You're a little bird, really wacky art style. Wolong 2, again, it's kind of like a.
Is that a samurai game?
I think it's ancient China again, but close. Ancient China, ancient Japan, like you said, just millions of games. And then the next one, this is one that we all agreed. There was like 3 of us watching in the Discord channel, and we all agreed we are playing this as soon as it comes out, on together. And that is Join Us. It is a cult-like simulator game. With like base building, and it looks like there's a lot of like stupid dumb humor, like Goat Simulator type humor. It looks really zany, but also looks kind of deep with some really cool like simulator aspects. Like I said, like base building and crafting. You build out like this cult, and you cultivate, for lack of a better word, like followers and stuff. Just looks like some dumb fun to have with your friends. I think it's solo as well, obviously, but co-op looks to really shine in this game, so we'll definitely be checking that out. Senua, so a new game in the Hellblade series. Not a whole lot came of that. Again, they showed off combat, which to me, the games didn't maybe have enough combat, so here's to hoping maybe there's some more in this one. I've never really gotten into this series, but they always look beautiful, obviously. And that's coming out in 2027. Of course, they had to talk about some Fallout 76 updates. Whoop-de-doo. I'm over it at this point. Give us Fallout 5. I don't care about Fallout 76. Then the next one that I definitely think is on both of our radars, again, is Doom: The Dark Ages DLC, which is Revelations. Looks really cool. I really enjoyed Doom: Dark Ages. I don't know if I ever beat it. I think I have like 1 or 2 missions left. One of those, something else came up, and I just, didn't want to jump back in and try to remember all the controls. So it's still sitting in my backlog. But the DLC looks really sick. Some new weapon types, some swords, some spears, stuff like that. So looking forward to that. How about you?
Yeah. So I beat the Dark Ages. I got to the end and beat it. Thought it was another good Doom game. I still think I like the original Doom remake a lot better. I think that was definitely my favorite one out of all of them. You were in hell. It was pretty grounded, and I just was a little bit more akin to that game. But it does look like this DLC is going to dive in a little bit more into the backstory of who the Doom Slayer is. I think there have already been follow-ups that like his full name was revealed. I think for the hardcore Doom community, that's like a no-no. Like the Doom Slayer should always be in this unnamed protagonist that you don't really know where he came from. He just is a Doom Slayer. So I have seen some discourse, around delving in a little bit deeper into the backstory of who he is and how some people aren't really taking that positively. So we'll see. I'm very baseline into Doom. It's a run and gun shooter. You shoot demons. That's what I like it for. So I will probably re-download the Dark Ages and check it out for sure.
Absolutely. Next up, a old franchise. Sorry, Jesus. An old franchise is back from the dead with Crazy Taxi World Tour, where it looks like it starts out in San Francisco, but then you get to go all over the world doing some missions. That looks really cool. Looks like some fun. I never really played the original ones, but I know they're a big cornerstone of gaming history. I'm so excited to see that come back.
Crazy, and you just got choked up.
Yeah, I know. I was just so excited. I just almost died. It's no big deal. Next up is Age of Empires 4. There's a Viking expansion, which you mean to tell me Vikings were not in the game from the I don't whatever. Either way, that looks
seems
super
like
cool.
A popular faction to be in the base game, but
yeah, what do I know? I don't know. Oh well. Looks super cool though if you're into those type of games. That will be coming in the fall. This fall. Next up, another game that we're definitely interested in, and that's Minecraft Dungeons 2. And that's coming out September 29th. I had a lot of fun with Minecraft Dungeons 1. Felt it was not quite deep enough. Obviously, I wasn't expecting Diablo by any means, but I think if they expand on some of the gameplay systems, make it a little deeper without going too crazy, because I know kids still like to play this as Minecraft. I think if they struck a nice middle balance between something like Path of Exile and Diablo versus just a Minecraft, fun little thing, this could shape up to be a very fun game. A game that, like I said, I think we're both pretty excited to see.
Yeah, I think this one and Join Us, that Cult Simulator, those are going to be pretty good, like Friday, Saturday night with some beers and the boys on, just something to play, have a good time with.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, and these two games were kind of similar in my mind. They're both like first person kind of action games. Magician: The Devil's Deal, and then Valor Mortis. They were both like first person action type games. They were like killing zombies and other weird monsters and stuff like that. And the Magician one,
they both heavily reminded me of Avowed. Like it felt very Avowed.
Yeah,
that type of art style and combat style.
So we'll wait to see a little more details on that. Magician: The Devil's Deal comes out 2027. Valor Mortis comes out in September. So not too long from now. Elder Scrolls Online, of course, they had to bring that in. Now it's on PC Game Pass, and there's like the Thieves Guild stuff. It's like the first, like Return of the Thieves Guild or something was the season 1. It said, which is weird because like this game's been out for 12 years. What do you mean season 1? I don't know. I poured several dozen hours into it at one point. Liked it, didn't love it. Just again tired of it. Bring me another Elder Scrolls game. Stop. We talked about this. I'll do a little sidebar here. We talked about this while we were watching it, but it's like every time you saw Bethesda Game Studios came up, everyone was like holding their breath. Was this, Fallout Remastered? Was this Fallout 5 or Elder Scrolls 6 or whatever? No, twice it was 76 and ESO, and then another one, just stupid games. So it's like we were tired of it, and I am tired of it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think both Fallout 76 and ESO has been around for too long now to be announcing, to be waiting for something as big as a Xbox game showcase to hold an announcement for an update coming up to it. I feel like it's, wasted hype. You're going to get bad publicity over it because, after we saw Bethesda Studio come up 3 times, and it was Fallout 76, Elder Scrolls Online, and Doom Dark Ages, which Doom is cool. The other 2, we were all complaining and moaning in the Discord that, we're sick of seeing Bethesda pop up for those 2 games.
Yeah.
Ready for the next ones, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and then next up, they showed off some new stuff for Flight Simulator, which looked gorgeous, but again, it's Flight Simulator. But it was themed around like national parks, America 250, stuff like that. They want to show off our country's landmarks and stuff. Now you can fly a plane right over Mount Rushmore. So there you have it. Where Winds Meet. I don't even remember what this was. I just have it.
Spoiler alert. Samurai game.
There you have it. There you have it, kids.
It was a sword fighting.
Okay. Yeah, I don't.
Kind of akin to that,
combat, but it speaks volumes that I don't even remember it, and I I saw this on the script and I went, huh? But okay, yeah. So there's that. There's a new Castlevania game coming, Belmont's Curse, and then it's coming October 15th. I'm not huge into the Metroidvania genre, but this looks like a really cool game. One of our friends had said it might be centering around like the daughter of protagonists from the anime, so that could be pretty cool. Next up was Vibarium. Again, another one I don't quite remember.
Blanking on this one. We're at the end of the list, everybody who's listening. We've just covered over 50 games, so
yeah.
We need a little bit of grace here.
Yeah. No one is covering it as in-depth. 3 different showcases as us, so you got to cut us some slack here. And then we have Spyro A Realm Beyond, which Ferg, I thought was going to strip naked.
Well. Okay. No, Spyro was... I was excited for this one. Spyro holds a special place in my heart. I think this was one of the first games that my parents bought for me when they bought me a PlayStation 1. So, I loved them growing up. So it was cool to see them making a new one.
Yeah, absolutely. And like I said, whenever Activision kind of said a little while back that they were trying to bring the IP back, I think a lot of people were happy. A lot of people have those fond memories. And it'll be exciting to see them start churning out games for that again. Next up was their second big exclusive, a console exclusive, that like the new CEO is trying to bring back this console exclusivity for, and that's Clockwork Revolution, which is that really cool. It's kind of like a Bioshock type-ish game, but heavily centered around, manipulating time and going back and forward in time and kind of manipulating stuff. Looks a little complicated for my smooth brain, I'm not going to lie, but yeah, it definitely looks cool, and I think this is the perfect game to make a console exclusive. It's interesting, it's unique enough, it's something that will draw crowds. Will it be a console seller? I don't know, but it's definitely one of those ones that you want in your back pocket of, hey, if you want to play this cool game that everybody's talking about, you got to come over to Xbox. Without it having to be the massive IPs of Forza, Halo, Gears of War. It's a good exclusive to have, especially when paired with the other one, Gears of War E-Day, that they showed off. I think you said you were looking into getting that one. I don't think it's for me, but
yeah, I'm definitely gonna check this one out and probably pick it up. Like you said, very Bioshock, kind of Dishonored, stylized. I think it's very unique in a lot of the graphics and the setting and the art style. So this one looks cool. I like those other games, Bioshock and Dishonored series, so going to be one that I'll pick up.
Absolutely. And then finally, They talked about the 25th anniversary edition Xbox, which blew my mind. This thing looks so cool. It is a
Yeah.
transparent green. There's the like controller with it as well, and then the Xbox the Series X is also completely see-through green. I did find it weird that there was not a Series S, which
Yeah,
could point to where they're
I
going.
didn't think about that until you just brought it up.
Yeah, so I don't know with the the push to become more Xbox centric. Is the new CEO going to maybe ditch the low end consoles that are kind of holding things back? By no means does this mean that, but something you can start to connect the dots on. But I think it looks super sick. Definitely something that's going to be sold out. I think you're going to be hard pressed to get a copy, but it looks really awesome. And then they ended
Yeah,
it. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
you're good. You're good. I was just gonna say, I hope they sell the controller separately.
Yeah.
I would definitely pick up that controller for sure. Um, but it will probably be bundled with the console itself. So
Yeah. So yeah, and then they ended it with DMZ, like the first look at DMZ, except for it wasn't really a first look. I was very underwhelmed. We talked about it in the
yeah,
COD like reveal section, but I expected actual gameplay, stuff that mattered, and it was just, you know, dudes shooting each other.
not
Like it
yeah,
was just COD gameplay. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah,
So,
yeah. I think it was another, like I said in the other two kind of showcases. I think it was a bad way to end it. It was 5 to 6 minutes of gameplay, but not really gameplay. No UI. They had the fake, fake comms going, as if you were playing with your buddies,
yeah.
which I thought was a little corny. But it didn't show enough for me to be, like, oh, this is a great way to end the show. I think they could have pivoted and showed something else to end it on.
Yeah. So kind of went out with a whimper there, but overall, I think Xbox Showcase went really well. I cannot give it a perfect execution. We were all very bummed about nothing about Fallout Remaster. I think the entire internet is really, really pissed about that. Nothing about like Elder Scrolls 6, nothing about anything like that. Not even the new Halo game, which they've already kind of talked about briefly. I kind of expected to hear like the next actual Halo game, not like the remake. I expected to maybe hear like a nice little teaser trailer about that. But overall, I think it was a very solid showcase, and the one I enjoyed the most out of all three.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. I think I give this an 8 out of 10. Um, Again, a little biased because of how much I like Gears, but I really think they nailed exactly what they needed to do with this prequel. Not only is it going to be, I think, great to get a lot of new players who, were too young to play the original series and are just getting into gaming now, but I think it nails the aesthetic and the look and feel for the players who, like me, who really really loved the original trilogy with it. So super pumped for it. That's again a little bit biased because of how well I think Gears looked, or how good I think it looked. But yeah, I'm gonna give Xbox an 8 out of 10, and kind of take the weekend with their showcase.
Absolutely. So that about rounds it up, folks. As always, we like to kind of end the podcast real quick, just going over what games we're playing. Obviously, I'm still playing the Forza Horizon 6, still having a great time with that, doing my weeklies, things like that. I just got, and this is going to, you guys aren't going to believe this. When I tell you this, you.
It can't be a survival game. A
No,
crafter.
So it is, admittedly, a survival crafting game.
That's crazy.
But hear me out. It's kind of like I think we talked about this before. It's a game called Necess. It's kind of like that game. The game I'm playing is called Roamstead. Kind of a play on the homestead. But you do make a city. You get like civilians that do tasks and all that kind of stuff. And it's set in Rome. It's really cool. I'm really enjoying it. And I know it's hard to believe, but it was an under $15 Steam game that does involve survival and crafting, and I am enjoying that thoroughly. The next up,
I would love to see a total spend amount on the under $20 games on Steam that you have accumulated throughout the years.
That is how they get you. It's kind of like, oh, well, it's just $10, and then you get 8 of them, and suddenly it's not just $10 anymore. Yeah, I think next episode I'll total up all my survival crafting game gameplay hours on Steam, and we'll talk about it on the podcast.
That's scary.
Next up, and I wanted to just get my gripes out about this one real quick. It's called Restore Your Island, which is just a dumb, stupid, like incremental thing. You clean up trash on an island, and you sell the trash to upgrade the. One of those stupid shovelware games is like $10. I watched Real Civil Engineer on YouTube play it. I wanted to do it was a nice, cozy before bed type game, and then I finished the one island. And there's like a new island with like Pirates of the Caribbean stuff themed on it. And I clicked to go to that island. And it was still like the UI didn't really update. And I played like 2 hours on that island. And then it just like deleted my save. So I couldn't
That's
play.
What you get. You get what you deserve.
I guess so. But I was really mad about it. So if the developers of Restore Your Island are watching, just know you've hurt me immensely. And I spent so long cleaning up. I'm mad. But yeah, so that's about it. I think we also played a couple matches MLB together, a little bit of COD. Nothing too crazy on either of those fronts. But that's been about what I've been playing. A lot of Forza, a lot of Remset. I feel like there's another game or two that I've been playing. I just don't remember because my brain is just fried these days. trying to cover all this news. So yeah, I'll throw it over to you. What you been playing?
Yeah, this was a long episode. I'm blanking on. Spoiler alert! I'm blanking on the question of the episode. I don't know what I'm going to throw at the people. But no, I've been playing Forza still. Like I said in the very beginning of the episode, finally made it to Legends Island. Played a couple of the gargantuan. What are the massive races at the end called?
Yeah, like the capstone.
The gauntlets. Yeah. So played a couple of those. That was pretty fun. Still dabbling in Lego Batman. It's a silly, fun Lego game, but in that Arkham style, it's a little bit deeper than your typical Lego games where you're playing through the story and very linear missions. So it's been a good time, and I actually re-downloaded and have been putting some time in Destiny 2 with this upcoming final update launching in just a couple days. So I probably will talk about it a little bit more in the next episode, but trying to get that power creep in as much as I can. Don't have some of the expansions that have just come out the past year, but yeah, dabbling in Destiny again, getting in the build crafting, and getting excited for the final update coming in just a couple days.
Awesome. So that about wraps it up, guys. Thank you so much for sticking around. This has been by far our longest episode, but it has also been by far the most information, most news that we've had, and possibly will have again until this time next year with the next, Summer Games Fest, E3 type presentations, stuff like that. So thank you so much for sticking around and hearing us out all the way through this. As always, you can find this podcast on YouTube, on Spotify, and on iHeart Podcasts as of right now. If you're watching along on any of those podcasts, make sure to leave a like, follow, subscribe, anything you can do. It helps us reach new audience members and kind of grow our community. And then additionally, we have created a few more socials. You will have noticed, sorry about that, you will have noticed that this is actually being posted, however you say it, on YouTube to our YouTube channel. So if you're not subscribed to the Hotfixes and Hot Takes YouTube channel, make sure to subscribe over there as well. That is where we'll be posting all of our shorts, and then I'll be posting the episodes here and collaborating it with the new channel so that it shows up there as well until we can build that channel up maybe at someday, we'll start hosting the episodes on that channel as well. So make sure you're subscribed. If you're watching here and you're not subscribed over there, I'm gonna hunt you down. I'm kidding, but definitely it's going to be the new place where we post any shorts, stuff like that. We've also created a Reddit account that will be linked down in the description. I'm going to be working tomorrow on creating a Twitter account that both of us will be tweeting some news out. That will be linked below as well. So we're kind of expanding our universe here. Make sure to follow us everywhere you can, and definitely reach out. Let us know stuff you'd like us to cover next episode, things like that. And I will leave it off with Ferg if he has remembered a question to ask.
Oh, only kidding. Only kidding. I always got a question in the clip. A lot of announcements this week between Sony State of Play, Summer Games Fest, and the Xbox Showcase. Would love to hear what your most anticipated game coming out of all three of these massive showcases is. Is it Wolverine on the Sony side? Is it Gears of War E-Day from an Xbox side? Or is it something else that we maybe just kind of passed over? Not for us, but something that, checks all the boxes for you. Let us know in the comments.
Absolutely. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for sticking around. Like I said, long episode. Next episode, we'll be back down to our normal run time there. But thanks again. Until the next time, you all have a great day.
Peace.